Hi, everybody. This is Denny with my YouTube channel, Why Is This True? And joining me today is Doug, who's got a really cool idea. I met Doug on Facebook at the recommendation of Ciara, who is Eric Rain's significant other. I did an interview with her, which was a great joy. And when she hooked me up with Doug, I said, yeah, this is it. We got to do it. So thanks, Doug, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time. Very nice of you. Thank you.
So you got a fantastic idea, and I hardly know anything about it other than just the basic idea. And when I heard it, I thought, oh my gosh, this is tremendous. So I'm gonna let you take off, and you can explain it to everybody what this is about, and who you are, and the whole 9 yards.
Well, I don't know. Who I am is really unimportant. I'm just an old guy that's wasted almost 50 years, and I'm trying to wise up, I guess you could say. But the idea of touch to water is throughout history, people have meditated in groups because the group consciousness is a real thing and it does work. So my thought was, why not get, instead of just a group of Hindus here or a group of Buddhists there or a group of Christians there, why not get everybody together? And just the world needs a day off, and it goes through so many levels. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous.
No.
But the idea is one day, no religion, no politics. Go to the water and spend time with your loved ones as much as possible. That's the simple idea. And then you get into the deeper ideas about the quantum physics involved with the consciousness grid, and then the quantum physics involved with water, which is extremely mysterious. Water, we just know so little about the real powers of water. And we can take advantage of water to our, why not take advantage of it to our good for once instead of
Pooping in it.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, some people think it came from fish, so that might just be natural. I don't know. But, the idea came to a friend of mine one day when he and I learned a little bit about some new studies in water and what had happened and some quantum physics stuff. And he and I were sitting there talking about it. And then a couple years ago, somebody I love very much committed suicide. And it made me look into it. I had no idea how prevalent suicide was in the world. And so I started looking into it. And I'm a former teacher. I was an 8th grade math teacher, and I worked at a mental health institute and a group home for a while. So I got kind of a unique perspective. And what I gather, if you get down to the basic core of every problem, is a lack of love. It really is. The guy commits suicide because his world falls apart around him. Well, why does his world fall apart around him? Because it's based on greed. It's all centered on greed and making money to grow instead of centered on love. If his world was centered on love, if we had the core inspiration of love as opposed to greed, everything would be so different. And then you look into the things like the 100th monkey experiment, which proves that each creature on Earth has their own consciousness grid, in the sense that once a certain percentage of a creature knows something, it becomes pervasive on the whole creature. That's why they call it the 100th monkey experiment. They taught some monkeys on one small island to wash their sweet potatoes. And after so many monkeys on that one island started washing their sweet potatoes, all the monkeys on all the islands started washing their sweet potatoes. And there's been experiments with humanity and whatnot. And then, so you get into what the world we live in. And I believe the people that rule this world know about the consciousness grid, and that's why they keep us in confusion and fear and lies and all that. There is no truth in this world. You cannot find truth. So I thought, what the heck? As a teacher, they teach you a certain amount of the school population will make the whole population basically a gang school. So why not take a certain amount of the world population and make the whole population of the world a loving game instead. So we don't need everybody, but we do need a decent percentage. And once you get a decent percentage of people on the same page one day at the same time, it will actually affect the world. At least I believe so, based on the scientific study I've done. But I'm a former teacher who works as a handyman now, so people don't want to listen to me.
I do.
I don't have to. I'd talk to you anything.
We're gonna start somewhere.
So, but you talked about Sierra. After the suicide, I took care of the family and all that stuff, and I was sitting here alone for the first day after it all went down, and that's when it really hit me. It wasn't real until the funeral itself, but it didn't really hit me till I was alone, the implications, the depth of it all, what it really meant. And I just texted this idea to everybody on my phone. And Sierra is the only one that responded. And she made me start a Facebook page. And that first year, we were very active. I call her my muse. I've known her almost 10 years now, and she's one of the most important people to me. We've had kind of a distant relationship, but she's been so inspiring to me in a lot of ways that I don't know how to quantify.
Right.
So,
have you met her in person?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's how
You live up there?
Yeah.
Oh,
she used to live here, and she worked at a local joint, and that's where I met her.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Right as she was her daughter's dad, and she were breaking up around that area.
Okay.
So she lived close to me, and I saw her. I see her every now and then, but we've been very tight online, and especially since the Touch the Water. I consider her my muse.
Okay.
But, she taught me a lot. She really has, and I'm blessed to have her. I would never have pushed this idea at all as far as I have without her help.
Wow, that's amazing.
In the first year, I think we got about 30,000 people the first year just from Facebook and passing it around.
30,000?
I think so, yeah.
On August 20th last year?
Not last year, year before.
Oh.
Yeah, last year we both were not quite as involved, and I tried to go through the YouTube side of it more. Okay. And it didn't work out as well as I thought it would.
Okay.
Because on Facebook, I was getting about a 10%. About 10% of people out there seem to go for the idea.
Okay.
And
so the idea is that, beyond what you said, is that on August 20th, everybody goes to the water, touches the water, and meditates, and gives love to the planet, love to water, love to each other, and then then the idea is it kind of goes viral and starts catching on.
It is.
Yeah.
Well,
with the idea that water is such a common feature in all living things and of the earth itself.
Well, we are water.
Right.
So, and they've proven that the frequency the human heart puts out while it's in the mode of love actually affects water directly. And yes, Yamamoto or whatever his name was, some of his stuff has been disproven. But there's been other people, especially Schauberger in Germany and his institute. But they've proven that frequency makes a huge difference on everything. Our brain is 70% water. And by getting into that frequency, we actually heal ourselves. Like meditation is very healing to people.
Right.
But I like to step back a little bit beyond that. Because when you talk meditation, you lose all the Christians. When you talk Jesus, you lose all the light people. We've been so trained to see things. Oh, well, he's saying Jesus, he's a Christian, whatever. I don't want to listen to him.
No, I get you. You need to use terminology that's more inclusive.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
My goal. People like you, Sierra, people who are meditators and light workers per se, they get it. no
Yeah.
problem.
Right.
But we need more than that. We need the real people. We need everyday people that don't get it, but just know things are wrong.
Right.
So anybody who wants to get into the science, man, there is a lot of good science. And on my on our Facebook page, I believe we have some good documentaries about it.
Okay.
But what my goal is, it'd be great if everybody meditated like you said. I think that might be a little tough. So why not just make it more inclusive? Just a day at the water with your family and friends. Those that meditate will meditate. Those that pray will pray. Those that feel like the river needs cleaned up can clean it up. Those that, I think people should show their love in their way.
Right.
We're not the same. This cultural Marxism that we're trying to get forced into has a lot to do with the craziness in our world.
Right.
We need to be free to express ourselves for who we are.
Right.
And be that child inside. So to say you got to go to the water and meditate, I think isn't inclusive enough.
Okay.
I think it's beautiful. But I would just like to keep it simple for, I don't know how to explain it.
No, you're explaining it good. It's just that there's a lot of ways to be involved with water in a loving way, and you decide what's best for you. Period.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
That's the whole idea. And that's why I don't want, like I put a big post a couple weeks ago about why there shouldn't be any big central like organization. Because we don't want speeches. We don't want band. We don't want anything like that controlling the day.
Right.
It should be everybody just being free and just being themselves with nothing but love and gratitude for a day. So and if you want to sit and meditate on it, great. If you want to just surround yourself with the people you love and you're thankful for, that's great too.
Right.
Whatever works for you.
August 20th this year, is that on a Saturday or what day? Do you know what day that is? It's
on
a Sunday? Okay. All right.
And what I did initially, we were thinking H2O on 820. It just kind of flowed well. That's what August 20th.
Yeah.
And I figured you just pick a day and leave it on that day all the time. So August 20th every year. I don't change anything, and I'm going to be pushing it forever. Okay. I can't get rid of the idea. When I sleep, I dream about it.
Okay.
I don't know why, but throughout my life, this is going to sound really weird. I've always kind of known things, and for some reason, I know this will work, and I can't let it go, no matter how much I try to walk away from it. I can't. I know deep down in my core it'll work, and whether you want to call it God or the universe or whatnot will not let me let it go. So.
That's great. Well, I mean, in a way, it's kind of an envious position because I know there's a lot of people out there trying to figure out what their life's mission is, and they know they got something to do. They came here for something, and they're just kind of banging around. You know, they're at loose ends. They can't really figure it out. They got other obligations and whatnot, and you know, I know there's people out there who look at your story, you know, what we've heard so far, and go, God, I wish I was that guy. I wish I had that kind of certainty about what, you know, what it is I'm here for, you know. And
well, it took almost 50 years though.
No, I know. That's why I say, you know, you're in the right club here, because I'm 60, and just a year ago I go, okay, this is why I'm here. Now I know what to do after 60 years of doing all kinds of things. You know, a lot of bad things, a lot of good things, but not why. But very, some of it, you know, was in preparation for what I'm doing now. I know that, but a lot of it was just like, you know, I was just trying to fit in somewhere because nothing felt right, nothing was working, nothing made me happy, and it wasn't until about a year I go, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do, and then so I just dropped everything else, and that's what I'm doing, and so it's kind of working, you know. So I'm like, I'm with it, you know. I'm like you. I'm just gonna keep doing this until someone takes me out of action or whatever, you know. I just, you know, I don't care. I know what to do, so I'm going to do it. So, yeah, so I think, I mean, it's a good story, and it's one, that's another part of the story that I think is very important, is because, you know, you found a calling, and you're being and you're answering the call, and you know that's what you're supposed to do.
I don't have a choice.
Right. Right. And just so you know, like my son's sign is Pisces. I've always loved the water. When I was a kid, I used to live in Hawaii, and every weekend I would try to talk my mom into taking us up to the North Shore so I could go snorkeling. And I would literally do that all day long. We'd go up there. I'd have something to drink or something to eat. I'd go out in the water. I'd come back for lunch. I'd go back out in the water, and I would try to stay out there as long as I possibly could before we had to go home. It would drive her nuts, but that's all I ever wanted to do, pretty much. And then when I was after I got out of high school, I went to the California Maritime Academy. I became a chief engineer on an oceanographic research vessel, and I spent my days at sea. And I was on a boat, on a ship all day. And what else? Just everything. I was a diver. I used to go snorkeling and scuba diving, which I did with the Research Institute. And before I was at the Research Institute, I was a stationary engineer at an aquarium at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. So that's what I did there. I was doing the seawater systems and changing the screens out in the ocean. So water. And so that's probably why when Ciara, hooked me up, I was just like, okay, I was all over this like white on rice. It was just immediately a green light. And so yeah, I want to help you promote this idea because I think it's a tremendously good idea, and it works on so many different levels, like you said.
Yes.
I should have pulled the books out so I could show them. Maybe I'll post them later, but I've got the fourth phase of water. I've got the Iceman, Wim Hof, who I think Ciara and Eric are into. He's the Iceman, the guy who, he's the guy who was submerged in the ice water for like 2 hours or whatever, and they had electrodes hooked up to him, and they couldn't figure out why he never went into hypothermia. And
wow,
yeah, just like. So I'm very interested in the subject of water, and I agree with you. Oh, and the other thing is, before I went to college, I worked for Sonoma Water Engineering, and I used to install water treatment technology for well water, so people could drink their water. And that was when RO first started coming out, reverse osmosis for cleaning up the water for consumption as an alternative to distillation. And I started getting an education in water, and I found out. We don't know shit about water. We really don't understand the chemistry or the energy behind it. I mean, and what there is probably a lot of technology and science behind water that is actually in that category of suppressed technology.
Yes,
because if the general public really did know everything there is to know about water, or what humans do know about water, like at the higher echelons and stuff, the world would already be a different place because it could be probably used as a medicine, a curative. There's probably a whole bunch of things you can do with water that we don't even know about.
Well, they're actually learning a lot about that. What they call structured water,
right,
which is natural free water, is a lot more healthy for you than piped in water.
And Schauberger was in on that. He was discovering that from his work.
He actually made a motor that ran on water.
Right.
And there's been other stories about men have made motors run on water. If all the technology and all the knowledge of water was out there, the slave system and all that runs our world right now would fall down. So the powers that shouldn't be hide it. But what's beautiful, though, and it's true, if we can open up the consciousness grid by getting the millions of people needed at one time, it wouldn't matter because all that knowledge would become common knowledge.
Right.
And it would help out a lot.
Right.
What was I going to say? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
But yeah, I think the different levels is great, but I have a hard time pushing it because it seems like one message works for one person and one person works for another. But if that person hears that message, they're out.
Right.
So the way our world is just set up, and I don't know where you stand politically, but we live in a slave system.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah.
And I truly believe they use mass consciousness against us.
Yeah.
That's why everything is half-truths. That's why supposed grassroots groups have some billionaires behind them funding them. That's why all these charities spend more time and money raising money than actually doing charity. It just goes down the line.
Yeah.
And,
So my answer to that is that, that's pretty much common knowledge, a bunch in different ways amongst all those disparate groups, some of which are turned off by some aspect of the messages you're putting forth. So basically, when you get to that point, the way I look at it is, it's okay. You're planting seeds. Those seeds will grow. They're initially repulsed by the idea, but you've planted the seed already. It's going to grow. And it may grow faster in some, slower than others. In some situations, it may wither and die. But we really don't have control of like that spreading. The fact is that the idea itself is based in love and growth and a positive life force kind of message that has a life of its own. And we just need to support it where we can, knowing that we're going to make some mistakes in the process, and that's okay. That's all right.
Oh, well, and the world will never be perfect because we're not perfect. There will always be arguments and whatnot. Right.
But the idea is really close to being perfect.
The
idea is really close, man. So I mean, you can kind of rest on that, and then let God or however you want to, the universe or whatever, let them move it forward, and you just be there in assistance as you're called. And that's all we need to do, really. I mean, because it's got legs, and if it didn't have legs, you wouldn't be having these dreams.
Probably so. It wouldn't leave me. It would leave me alone if it was a bad idea eventually. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I appreciate that. It's very nice of you to say. I don't think it was really my idea, though.
Of course not. You're just a tool.
Yeah, I really don't. Because so many groups have tried similar things throughout history. We're just at a unique time in history where we can actually get a global group together.
Right.
And, so why not? What the hell?
And the other thing that might be helpful as you move forward is to focus on the translation aspect of it, to get some of the material that's on your Facebook page for this idea, and focus some energy and some time trying to get it translated into other languages.
Oh,
So that other people from other parts of the world who aren't English speakers can see what you're up to. And that's something that I'm thinking about for my YouTube channel. And I've actually got a volunteer who translated one of our video interviews into Turkish. And
wow.
Yeah, Turkish is one of the languages, and there's many languages where Google Translate does a terrible job. Like, so if you have English and then you go and you have a closed captioning on your video and you go to change it to some other language, it just comes out like garbage. There's words in there that match up and you can kind of get the gist of it, but the syntax and the structure, the language structure does not. Google has no way of actually doing it an accurate translation. So that's where you need the volunteers that come in. So that might be something that you could kind of focus on in kind of a nuts and bolts way to spread the message, so it goes beyond the English-speaking world. And
well, we were worldwide the first year. I had actually last 2 years we've been worldwide. I actually Facebooked the Dalai Lama the first year, and they supposedly. I got a response says they are working on it as we speak, and that was all the response I got. So they might have been involved, they might not have. I don't know, and that's okay that I don't know.
That's okay.
It's not about me. It's not. I'm not making a central organization.
Right.
I don't want a penny from anybody.
Right.
In fact, if anybody wanted to help touch the water, I would say promote it yourself and give somebody who needs some love a little bit of your time. That is the best charity anybody could do.
Right.
And if anybody wanted to help touch the water, that's how I'd ask them to do it. I would, at first, we thought about setting up something like that, but that kind of goes against it.
Right.
It makes this about money as well, like everything else that's wrong with the world.
Right. Right.
So, no central organization and no money whatsoever.
Right.
So if anybody wants to help promote it, please do.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
No, yeah, that's a great idea. And so in the description on this video, when it goes public, you'll see the link to the Facebook site. We can put some links to some documents and research and whatnot. And I'm going to put a request out right now to anybody watching this who they themselves, or if they have friends that can translate some of this material into another language. We'll put the call out for this idea, and just to close the loop with you, to let you know that that's in place. One thing we don't want to do is have duplication of effort. So we didn't want three people translating the same document from English into Japanese. We want to make sure that people are using their time efficiently. So yeah, beyond stuff like that, there's not much organizational work that needs to be done. It's just that, like you say, promoting the idea, sharing it with your friends, your family, and then actually going out on August 20th and doing like what you say in your own way, make a loving connection with water.
Yep, in your own way, exactly. Yeah. Right. And that's the thing. I think you got a better grasp of the whole thing than I do. I think. No. It's a group effort, man. I'm so happy to have met you and to learn about this. Well, I don't know how to thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me about this. And anybody who wants to study, just do a little bit of research into the mysteries of water. Yeah. And look up the 100-monkey experiment. Those two things right there should convince anybody that there is a deeper, higher meaning that will actually do something. Other than just, hell, couldn't you use a day off with your family and friends? Right. I was just thinking that. It's like, what a beautiful way to spend the Sunday. Go out to the lake, or go out to the river, go out to the beach, whatever. Something that you've been putting off that you haven't been doing or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. So, Doug, thank you so much for your time and for doing this with me. And I'll send you the unlisted link so we could check it out. If you have any ideas, things you want to add, we can put it in the description so everybody can see this. I do have a Facebook page if anybody wants to listen to me ramble. It's just me kind of train of thought, so it's not very pretty. But if they want to listen to those, they're welcome to. There is a Touch the Water Facebook page that is my stream of consciousness a little bit more cleaned up as well. Okay. There's YouTube. Excuse me. There's a YouTube channel too. Okay, great. Yes. Yeah, so we'll have all the links in the description for this video. Yeah. And thanks again for joining me. Thank you, Denny. I really appreciated meeting you too, and I think you got a better idea of this than me. I really do. Okay. You're awesome. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.